Greetings once again. James Hackley, author of the best-selling book, Body, Mind, and Spirit, and welcome to yet another installment of my video blogs. Now, here we are today. It's the eve of Valentine's Day, and Valentine's is very special to me. As a matter of fact, it was on Valentine's Day 8 years ago that God put it on my heart that Angela was indeed the woman that He handpicked just for me. So here we are on the eve of Valentine's Day, and a lot of folks, if you have a Valentine's, you're hyped. Some folks will find out sooner rather than later if that person they think is going to be their Valentine's is truly their Valentine's. So today was put on my heart to talk about something that has to do with love, and that is finding a soulmate, but more importantly, how to keep your soulmate. So first and foremost, whenever you're trying to explain something, it's best to get definitions clear. So what is a soulmate? In order to define a soulmate, we must first define the soul. And in my book, I talk about the difference between a soul and a spirit because some folks think those two words are synonymous, but they're quite different things. And a soul basically is derived from the Greek word, which is psyche. And from that word, we get psychology. So psyche or soul deals with the mind. So when we look at the mind, your soul can be defined as your will, your desires, your passions, your intellect, things of that nature. So when you look at your desires, finding a soulmate, it may be someone who can help you with life objectives, and someone who you're sexually compatible with, or someone who's a good mother. Those are your desires. Will, maybe if you're strong-willed, maybe you want a mate who's strong-willed as well. So when we look at that, what we find out is soul, we find out there are various things that consist of the soul. So it's very unlikely. Some people think that there's only one person out of the 7 billion people on this planet, or in the US, there are 313 million people in the US. So some people believe there's just one person out of 7 billion people that's meant for them. But that's not true at all. Out of the 313 million people in the US, best believe that there are various soulmates that you've already met, and then some soulmates you've yet to meet, because you've met those individuals that you can just talk to for hours and hours and hours, and you just click off the bat. That's a soulmate. And here's something a little different as well. Your soulmate could be someone of the same sex. It doesn't have to be romantic in order for someone to be a soulmate. But for Valentine's Day, when we talk about soulmates, we want to talk about someone who's basically that there's romantic inclinations or even a potential for something long lasting. So soulmate. We talked about someone with our will, share our wills, share our desires. Maybe they share our fortitude as well. But unfortunately, when we're going out and we're looking for soulmates, a lot of us, we're looking not for soulmates, we're looking for superficial mates. We, in our minds, we envision this person as they have to make so much money, they have to look a certain way, maybe they have to be a member of a certain organization, a certain fraternity, or a certain sorority. So when we have those things high on our list, and then we find that person and the relationship doesn't work, that shouldn't be a surprise, because those are not soulmates, those are superficial mates. Now, when we're looking at soulmates, when we want to go deeper, does this person share our value when it comes to God? Does this person share common values when it comes to fidelity? Does this person share common values when it comes to relationships, monogamy, and things of that nature? When we have those things in sync, then that person is truly someone who can look at having a long-lasting relationship with. But as I said, a lot of times we tend to lean towards the superficial things when we're looking for mates instead of that deep soul thing. So with that said, you probably have at least 8 different soulmates in your sphere of influence that you don't even realize, because perhaps, he's too short, he's too tall, he's too fat, he's too skinny, or she's not smart enough, or she doesn't make enough money, or all those superficial things. But if you look at the people within your sphere of influence through a different lens, you may begin to say, hey, that person is a soulmate, because you can talk to them, you can hang out with them, you just connect on a deeper level, a level that basically it's a level that links you soul to soul with that individual. Now, my personal story, I met my soulmate, who turned out to be my wife, years ago. We were in grad school at UVA, and we shared a class. I thought she was a cool person, but we never dated. Fast forward 14 years later, I'm in London on business, and at the time, Black Planet was hot. So I'm in my hotel room in London. I see her page on Black Planet. Send her a message. Say, hey, I'm going to be back stateside in about 2 weeks. Let's hook up. Let's do dinner. So when I got back stateside, we met, And the chemistry was just instant. To hear Angela tell it, as soon as I walked through the door, she knew instantly that I was that man that she was meant to marry. But being a guy and being a little stubborn, it took me a little longer. But as I said, after about 2 years of dating, and you know how we do it, guys. We'll date for a while and then we'll call it off because she's just not the one. We don't think that. But 8 years ago on Valentine's Day, I was laying in my bed and God put it on my heart that, yeah, James, you're hard headed, but this is the woman that I handpicked for you. Just think about it. You always want to be with her. You love her dearly, and she's no punk, and she just truly wants to take care of you. This is the woman, and all of your concerns that you have in the grand scheme of things, those are minor things. So, on this eve of Valentine's Day, I encourage you to re examine all of those individuals that are within your sphere of influence, and perhaps today you may find your soulmate. But once you find your soulmate, how to keep your soulmate. And this is very important because I've been married for 7 years and I've learned a lot about relationships over 7 years. And the number one thing that I learned uh, last 18 months, so to speak, that the differences that exist between Angela and I, sometimes you try to pray for that person to change. You want them to change because you just don't understand why they do certain things. And for the longest period of time, I always thought Angela's on that stuff. I'm like, it doesn't make sense that she's doing this. But, we're just wired individually. As two different individuals. She's a female. Females are wired different than males, and her experiences have wired her different than my experience. But recently, I got the idea that, I can't influence her changing. The only person I can change in this relationship is me. So when I begin to change, I begin to see her in a different light as well. And as a matter of fact, even last night, I was kidding her earlier that my wife, when she's sleepy, she's very grumpy. So in the middle of the night, I was touching her and she just took my hand and threw it to the side. Now, the old me, I would have had an attitude the whole entire day. But now that, I understand the whole concept of grace, and because I've been given so much grace in my life, it's best that I learn to extend that grace. So instead of just, continuing on the drama throughout the day, that she did something subconsciously, she didn't even know that she, pushed me away in the middle of the night. Instead of just going throughout the day with wounded feelings, I told her about it, we laughed about it, and we just carried the day throughout. So that's what we have to do. We have to look at the person that we really love, and we can't change them. The only thing we can do is change ourselves. And by changing ourselves, a lot of times that will a lot of times inspire someone else to want to change as well. Because when you have two people in a relationship that truly want to make things work, then you have potential. And it's very important as well, as Ecclesiastes reminds us that a cord of three is not easily broken. So that basically means that in a relationship, there should be one man, one woman, and one living God. So I hope these tidbits will help you find and maintain your soulmate. And as always, feel free to visit me at www.jameshackley.com and send me an email to info@jameshackley.com and let me know how your search for your soulmate is going. Until the next time, God bless.